Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Wow, I must say this was a hectic weekend. You guys certainly kept me busy with your email, and I had to do quite a bit of research in order to give you at least some kind of educated reply. But before I get into the weekend's email, I would like to talk to you about an email I received months ago already. And at the time, although I was personally interested and because it was also something I have done research on before, I just didn't think that it was the right time to actually bring this specific email into a video. However, now after the Oprah interview and the fallout from it, I do think that it is just the perfect time to pay attention to what a subscriber who calls herself Elizabeth, I'm not going to mention her surname, but to pay attention to what Elizabeth wrote. And I would like you to note that Elizabeth's email was dated the 4th of October 2020. So indeed, long before the interview was aired. And I'm going to read you portions from Elizabeth's email. She said, "Good morning to you. I'm hoping for some feedback regarding Meghan Markle's coat of arms. The design granted her as released by the College of Arms features 1. Quills or feathers and 2. Rays of California sunshine. For me, feathers plus sunshine equals Icarus or being too close to the sun. The story of Icarus is supposed to teach us about hubris. When reading about hubris on Wikipedia, it also says, see narcissism." Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the story of Icarus. It basically tells the story of a father and son who used wings to escape from the Isle of Crete. Icarus and his father collected feathers and put it together with wax to form wings, which they then used to escape. Icarus's father warned him not to fly too close to the sun, but Icarus, full of himself, elated with the freedom of being able to fly up high in the air, went higher and higher until his wings, or the wax that held the wings together, was melted by the sun, and he fell into the ocean and drowned. Now, the moral of the story is still relevant today. It is basically to heed good advice, to avoid the extreme, and in the official explanation, we read that the story of Icarus is a prime example of hubris. And when we go to the dictionary explains hubris as excessive self-pride or self-confidence. Now, last year, I think beginning of the year, I did some research into Icarus as I wrote a poem about Icarus for a competition. So by the time I received Elizabeth's email, I was actually well versed on Icarus, and that's why it made such an impact. Or maybe it was just a coincidence that got to me. Anyway, I'm going to continue with her email. The news articles about the coat of arms at the time it was granted say that it was made in collaboration with Meghan Markle. Perhaps her education was spare when it came to Greek mythology. The press reported that the quills had to do with the power of communication. There are other elements of the coat of arms that others have mentioned. For instance, her legs resembling the bird's legs is often noted, but I prefer to focus on the contents of one's character rather than the birdliness of one's legs. As well, it is odd that the college picked a songbird when the engagement video reveals that Meghan cannot sing. Also, the bird's wings are outstretched. Some have wondered if that is because it is about to fly away. And Why was a white bird chosen when the world was celebrating her biracial background at the time? Now, at the time, I made a video on Meghan's coat of arms, and I'll put a link to that video in the description box below. So for you guys who want to get more details, you're welcome to go back and go and have a look at that video. But to answer these questions, I have no idea why they chose a songbird, but in my mind, I think it was either predicting that Meghan is not the type to keep quiet, or if she herself was responsible for choosing the songbird. I believe that is what she meant. She meant that she was there to use the royal family as a platform to spread her narrative or her message. So in a way, if she chose the songbird, then I think it was a sort of a warning that she was going to talk, and that she was going to talk about everything. Anyway, the wings being outstretched. Well, I think a lot of people, when I listened to royal reporters, actually predicted that Meghan would not stay, that at some point she would up and leave. So if it wasn't her choice to spread the wings, maybe it was a bit of shade, or maybe some kind of prediction. On the other hand, it may have been Meghan warning the royal family and the rest of the world that she was there to spread her wings, to spread her narrative, to spread her message, and eventually to take off and leave. And why was a white bird chosen? Well, everyone's saying, oh, because white means peace and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure. You know, if we look at Meghan's CV, she's always seen herself as Caucasian. It was only now, when it became lucrative for her to bring in her black side, that she actually did so. So maybe that's how she saw herself, or preferred to see herself, as white, and maybe not as much a message of peace as her fans would make us believe. Anyway, I'm just going to read the last piece of Elizabeth's email. It may be this close to the sun interpretation and other criticisms are just too hot to handle. Would Meghan Markle immediately cry out and say that this proves the British people and the royal family were against her from the beginning? Well, Elizabeth, I guess so. But if she had chosen these elements herself, then how can she say that they were against her from the beginning? And then Elizabeth actually says as much. She says, although if she truly had a hand in its creation, perhaps she would have little room to complain. And I agree with that. If she had a hand in the creation, I don't think for 1 minute it was shade being thrown over her. I think it was rather her sending a message which none of us got at the time. Then she says, if by serendipity in combination with her behavior, these other interpretations are later seen. And then I'm just reminding you, Elizabeth wrote this on the 3rd of October 2020. And now that we have had the Oprah interview, that is exactly what it is. Now we can actually go back and interpret this coat of arms in the way it was probably meant right in the beginning. And a lot of people are saying, well, if only we had proof that Meghan intended to leave. And now I'm saying, looking back at her coat of arms, if she had a hand in choosing the elements in that coat of arms, then there is your proof. She told us right in the beginning, and we were just too naive to understand her message. And now a previously mentioned matter came up in an email once again, and it concerns whether Meghan did the voiceover for the Lincoln project. And there were actually 4 advertisements during the US election. And a subscriber called Pat sent me a link to a site called royalanalysis.com. And I'll also put this link in the description box below. There, I could go listen to all 4 of the advertisements. According to the author of the blog, he or she is convinced that it was Meghan. I personally am not so sure, but certainly find it strange that the voice-over artist does not want her name to be made known, as usually such people would want to extend their CV to ensure further work. So, for those of you who are curious, please click on the link in the description box, listen to the ads, all 4 if you can stand it, and let me know in the comment section or via email what you think. Although I'm not sure, just by listening, I can certainly think that it is possible and definitely something Meghan Markle would have done. But like I said, I would like to hear what you think. Okay, and then I got a number of email because there's a lot of buzz going around about Meghan being seen with a dark-haired man without Harry or even Archie being anywhere to be found. And this has now been going on for a while, I would say a month or 2. I actually received quite a number of email, people wanting to know who this dark-haired man is. Some people thinking that it's Marcus Anderson, but I then went and spoke to someone who's actually seen them and who had some contact with them. And I sent this person a photograph of Marcus Anderson, and she said that although she had seen Marcus with Meghan on a number of occasions and also at their home or coming or going from their home, that this particular person that everyone's asking about is not Marcus. Anyway, by making inquiries, I actually found out who it was, or who it is, because he is still being seen with Meghan. And he is Ben Browning. Now, Meghan and Harry recently hired Ben Browning as head of content for Archwell Productions and Archwell Audio. Ben Browning is a movie producer known for movies like Promising Young Woman, Europa Report, Passengers, Sanctum, The Lodge, The Courier, and a number of others. Out of all of these movies, I've only seen Passengers, which I was not too impressed with, but I'm sure that it was not enough for me to decide on whether Mr. Browning is a good producer or not, so that is besides the point. However, the film Promising Young Woman has been nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Film Editing, for the 93rd Academy Awards, and it also received 4 nominations for the Golden Globe Awards. So it is clear that Ben Browning has made significant impact or inroads in the film industry in Hollywood. So I find it just a little strange that he decided to join Archwell in such a significant role, because as far as I'm concerned, Ben Browning does not need Archwell. He doesn't need to be affiliated with ex-royals to make a name for himself. Anyway, but I was told that Ben Browning was suggested to Meghan by Marcus Anderson, and subsequently also introduced by Marcus to Harry and Meghan. And now, while we are on the subject of Marcus Anderson, I received a number of email and questions about Marcus Anderson, as many thought, like I said, that the dark-haired man seen with Meghan was actually Marcus. Well, since I last made a video about Marcus, I have actually received and found a lot more information on Marcus. Did you guys know that Marcus actually arranged a bachelorette, or as some people call it, a hen party, for Meghan 2 months before her wedding? Yes, indeed. It was a lavish spa weekend at the Soho farmhouse in the Oxfordshire countryside. Ah la la. As consultant for Soho House, Marcus made the exclusive reservation and even organized all the details of the soiree himself. Although the whole thing was arranged in secrecy, it is now known that it was attended by the likes of Millie McIntosh, Misha Nunu, and Violet von Westenholz. And for those of you who have been following my videos, you will know that I have spoken about Violet on a number of occasions. Others who most likely also attended were Jessica Mulroney, Abigail Spencer, and even possibly Serena Williams. Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, and Meghan Markle's mother, Doria, did not attend. Now, we're not sure whether they did not receive invitations, but Catherine most likely did not attend because at the time she was more than 7 months pregnant, and Doria either because she wasn't invited or she couldn't make it all the way across the pond, or maybe she just wasn't interested. But let's quickly get back to Marcus Anderson and his celebrity connections. I know I told you this before, but here I go again. As consultant for Soho House, he is the person who gets sent out to get to know the cities in which new Soho houses are being set up. He is the one tasked to get to know all the celebrities and creatives who live in the area, and he is the one who ultimately decides who will be invited and allowed to become members. Did you guys hear that? Are you guys starting to smell something foul yet? Yes, indeed, I am, and I do. Another word for socializing at Soho House is networking. It is thus where young creatives meet other influential people who could help them in their career. So, imagine the power Marcus Anderson yields over these people. I spoke to someone who has actually met him, like I just said, and although they did not have a lot of interaction with him, they did have time to observe him. And it is said that he is a virtual chameleon who, depending on who he is with, can go from being a kind and family-orientated person to a hard and callous person, from being a funny, fun party animal to being businesslike or even sullen and quiet. Marcus is also the go-to person for anything members would want or need, whatever it may be. So, I'm not allowed to say what I was told, but you guys can use your imaginations here. He is the prime organizer of parties and special events such as Meghan Markle's bachelorette. And there are also other rumors of swingers parties and the like, which had by now reached my ears, but I cannot promise that it is true. I'm just saying. What is, however, true, and this may surprise you as it did me, for most small starlets and upcoming actors and actresses, it is but a mere dream to be invited to the Oscars or the Grammys, or at least until they've had at least one significant role. But guess who does not have a problem to get an invite? The very man we are talking about here, Marcus Anderson. I'm told that there are actually arguments and competitions as to which after party he will attend. And here I was, dumb me, also thinking that he's nothing more than a Soho House consultant. But anyway, I went and did some homework, and here on my screen is a cute pic of Marcus and Juliette Lewis at Vanity Fair's Oscar party in 2015. So, what is definitely also true is that Marcus Anderson is the man who can introduce you to anybody. And most likely, the reason why Meghan will never break off this friendship and why Harry tolerates him being around so much. And now for a huge big find. And I do hope that most of you stuck it out until now, because people, this is very interesting. And here I have to say thank you to a lady who calls herself Big Fat Psychic on YouTube. And I'm going to post a link in the description box to her video about Archie on the beach. Please go watch her video for yourselves. Basically, it is her opinion and mine that the video of the Harkles and Archie on the beach was heavily doctored and most likely again a rented child. And I'm not going to say much more about it because I really want to pay tribute to Big Fat Psychic, and I really want you to go watch her video. And once you've done so, then please give me a thumbs up in the comment section or let me know that you've done so. And then in my next video, we shall be talking about this Archie and the Harkle video on the beach. Okay, guys. This is all from me for today. I'll be back soon, I promise. And thus, until the next video, all that's left for me to say is take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.